Um, my father was the first African-American radio announcer in New England. He went on the air in 1947, and he was on to about 1950. But he actually was a singer first, and he was living in Washington, D.C., and he was in a talent show, and he came first place in this talent show. And I'd heard for years that he came in first place. I'll tell you in a second who came I'll tell you in a second who came in second. I was a friend of mine's father passed away, and I went to his house when his father passed away, and he had a stack full of video cassettes. And I asked him, what are those video cassettes? And he said, oh, these were my father's. He said, there's a lot of stuff on here related to music. And he said, here, why don't you watch this one? And so he gave it to me. I took it home. And I think it was from the mid-'80s or maybe it was the mid-'90s. There was an interview on this tape. There were other things. There was a bunch of stuff on it. But there was an interview on the tape with the great vocalist Billy Eckstine. And Billy Eckstine started talking about coming in second place in a talent show in Washington, D.C. Not only did he say he came in second place, he said he changed the way he was singing when he came in second place in this talent show. Right. So again, going back to my father, in 1947, my family was living in Providence. And one of the radio stations had an ad. They had a house band, and they had an ad for a vocalist. And my father went to audition to be the vocalist for the station. Well, I guess they must have said, after he talked, they must have told him how to have a seat, and we'll tell you something in a few minutes. And while he was sitting there, these two guys came out, and they were talking about jazz in front of him. And he got into the conversation, and he didn't realize that this management person that had interviewed him was standing right behind him. And he heard the conversation, and he walked up and he said, so do you know something about jazz? And my father, and this definitely sounds like my father, he said, well, I know a hell of a lot more than those two do. So they hired him as a radio announcer. He didn't get the job as the vocalist, but they hired him as a radio announcer. So, you know, he had a scrapbook with all these wonderful pictures of all kinds of people. He was good friends with not a jazz artist that you may know, but the father of Jeffrey Osborne, the vocalist, the Woo Woo song, I think it was his big hit. But Jeffrey, his father was a trumpet player that they called Legs Osborne. And the Osborne family is still a big family in Rhode Island, in Providence. And they did have, he's passed away now, there was a son who was a jazz vocalist too, as a matter of fact. But my father just was a part of that. And I've always sort of joked and said, you know, I'm sort of the genetic result of my father's desires, because he was on radio when I was conceived, and this is what he really wanted to do, radio. He really enjoyed radio. So I think I'm the result, you know. So at one point I actually told him, I said, don't worry, I'm going to make it for both of us. You know, so I told him, yeah. Hi, this is Eric Jackson. If you'd like to see more videos, go to jazztimes.com.